Have you thought about getting a rental, an EV rental? Consider these things before you do. I'm sitting currently in a Hyundai Ioniq 5. I rented this from Avis, and currently I am sitting in a parking lot almost midnight. And here's why. So here's a quick, so I'm charging right now. I'll show you in a little bit. But essentially I'm here. It's almost midnight, and the reason why I'm here is because I'm charging at a DC charger. So when you get an EV, you may be excited and all that, but essentially I think that here are a couple things. I think mainly the charging part I wanted to address. So when you get an EV, at least for me, I never got the cable that you can use to plug into essentially a wall outlet, from what I can tell. I'm not an EV expert. Prior to this, I should share, I've never owned an EV. I've never rented an EV. I've never had an EV long enough to need to charge it. I've always gone on test drives and whatnot. So that's my experience with EVs. So I went into this without really any expectations, no prior knowledge about the infrastructure outside of just kind of what you see on headline news. Not knowing the difference between DC level 2, level 1, and Tesla and other like Electrify America, that type of stuff. Anyway, I'll get into that. So when I got my EV, my Hyundai Ioniq 5, I did not get the cable for me to plug it in to just say my house or place of business or whatnot. I think that's a big missed opportunity for rental companies. I understand that's a lot of extra product, but it'd be nice if you had a rental EV and you owned a home, or you had a place where you could charge it overnight. Though it may not charge very quickly, at least you have that option. But with that being said, assuming you don't get a cable like I did, you are pretty much completely dependent on the public infrastructure. And that means that you're going to have to get familiar with level 1, or primarily level 2 and DC charging. These level 2 charging can be summarized as, in general, it means that you charge slower, much slower. Level 2 is what you get at a place of work, perhaps at home. So essentially, I went to when I was first looking for a EV charging station, I eventually found a level 2 charger. I didn't know any better. I just, I knew the different types of chargers, but I was like, okay, level 2, great. Plug it in. And I believe I had about 20% or so. And to get to 80%, it said I was going to take 8 hours. And obviously that I stayed in the car for about an hour in a parking lot while it was raining. It sucked. So obviously I knew that you can charge quicker. I've seen it advertised. I didn't know how. Posted the video, got a lot of feedback. I learned that so that was level 2. Level 3, quote unquote, or DC is what you're looking for. DC is when you can charge much quicker. And within DC, there are ones that can charge quicker than others. So, but generally speaking, DC is what you're looking for. Like, for example, I'm sitting currently at a charger by Charging Points or Point, and theirs goes up to, I believe, 50 or 60 megawatts or kilowatts, 50 per, like, essentially that's the capacity, or how quickly they can essentially recharge. Versus I just came back from Baker. Baker has Electrify America, and that has been by far the quickest charger that I've ever experienced when renting this car. That one went up all the way, it could go up all the way to 350. And from my experience there, it never did go up that high. However, I went from 40 to 80% in like 12 minutes. So totally great. But I will say I'm currently in the OC-LA county area, and most of the chargers that I've experienced that are DC are one of those, so 50. What that means from my experience, I can go anywhere from, I just got here at like about 50 to 80. It takes me about 20 minutes or so, I don't know, 30 minutes, give or take. So it takes a little bit of time. I'm currently sitting at a gas station. It's late, not much to do. So infrastructure is one thing. So you don't get a cable. You need to get a better understanding of what you're looking for. Essentially, all you just need to look for DC chargers. And that comes to my, I guess, third point. You need the right apps to find those chargers. Do not depend on the UI and the infotainment of at least the Hyundai models. They do have an option where you can search for charging stations. Do not use it. I mean, you could, but the thing is, it doesn't account for if they're online. For example, I went to a couple and they weren't even working. Secondly, it doesn't tell you if it's DC, and if it does, I'm sorry if I missed it. It doesn't tell you if it's DC or level 2, at least easily for me. And sometimes they don't even exist, or they're difficult to find. For example, they said there was one at the City of Industry Walmart. I went there and that pin was in the middle of the parking lot. So I was kind of circling that parking lot. I went in and out of every single lane and I couldn't find one. So I just left. Apparently it's in the front of the store, and yeah, I just missed it. So it was a little tricky. The best experiences I've had with the most accuracy have been through the apps. I will link the ones that I know of and that fellow commenters have mentioned in the description below, but that will save you a ton of time. You can filter by DC only and then find one nearest to you and you're good to go. Another thing is, well, that's pretty much it. For renting a EV, I believe the charging is the real, I guess, elephant in the room. And that, just knowing that going into it, just, I think makes it a lot easier. This car in general, this particular one, right there, is great to drive. Just like any EV, torque is instant. Yeah, overall easy to drive, very comfortable, and by far, in my opinion, one of the best lane centering and cruise control systems that I've ever used. I do find the blind spot warning system to be pretty darn annoying, but anyway, just a small gripe. What I wanted to mention was, or my complaint, not with this car, but just renting an EV in general and using the same, I guess, principles or rules as a gas car. So with renting a gas car, it's general knowledge that you need to return the car with as much fuel as you rented it with. With an EV, I got this car with 80% battery. And for those of you that are, I guess, familiar with EVs or in chargers, you can set the car, or essentially getting up to 80% is usually pretty quick, or is the quickest. And then it throttles back once you hit that 80% mark. And many of you might be wondering, great, that's perfect. Just charge it and leave. However, what if there's not a charger near you? What if you have to go a little bit out of your way to charge and then return the car? So you're probably going to be less than that 80%. And you just hope that your rental car agency is not super anal about that. So that's why I'm here at midnight. I have a day job and I can't be spending time going out, charging, returning the car, and then coming back for work. I need to go during my lunch break, drop it off, come right back, go to work. So I can't account for that during the day, unless I could return on the weekend. But right now I can't. So I'm doing this right now. It's midnight and I'm going to charge up. So tomorrow I can go return it within my lunch break. So even if you try to do that within your lunch break, you have to account for driving, assuming the charger is on the way to your return spot. Anyway, you get the general idea. You have to just take that into account. But anyway, I hope this answers your questions or your concerns at least, or what to generally expect if you are renting an EV. And obviously do your research as much as you can. I'll link the apps in the description below. My recommendation is get those apps if you're considering getting a rental EV, and check the general areas that you want to drive or you plan on driving, and make sure you have DC chargers in those areas. And if you do want, I mean, if level 2 works for you, if you need to go shopping or something and you can leave it plugged in for a couple hours or longer than that, maybe that works. But DC is probably the one you're looking for. Overall, renting an EV experience has been great so far. I am going to return it tomorrow. I'll let you know how that goes. But yeah, see you tomorrow. I see you tomorrow. I'm going to use this app, Charging Points. Here's a little preview. I'm at 83%. I've been here for almost 50 minutes, 84 now. I'm going to stop the session. Stop. You should hear a click here. Hear that click? That means you can release this. You just press down, pull back. That's it. And DC uses both these ports. Level 2 only uses the circular one. Don't tell me why or what those each part does. I don't know, but I know that much. There you go. There's $14 there. There's usually some sort of cover. If not, that's how you do it. In this car, and close it up, and that's it. Drive off. Driving back home now. I'm at 84%, 190 miles. I'll let you know what I get when I get back so you can keep track. It's the next day. I just turned on the car and I'm heading to the rental company. I'm at 83% and 190. So I should be back there with 80%. So we're good there. Just wanted to check in. Here we go, heading to Avis. Pulling into the Avis. I'm gonna park the car and return the vehicle, and I'll let you know how that process is, but they do have plenty of EVs every time I come here for rent. Got a Mach-E, Tesla maybe, but usually the Kia EV6 is one of them as well. But again, this is about the rental experience with an EV. I'm gonna park the car, and the amount of range we have left is 81, so we're perfect on that. I'll let you know how it is. Hey everyone, rental is complete. Turned in the car, and I did ask if they do ever provide the cable, if it's an option, an add-on, or anything like that. They do not, and from the research I've done, it's not unique to this particular rental company. It's just in general, they don't do it. Let me know if you find a place that does, but they do not provide that cable for level 1 charging essentially. But yeah, returned the car, overall great. I mean, it was at 80% when I returned it, so we're good there. But yeah, if you are considering renting an EV, infrastructure, get the apps. It will help so much in the experience, especially aim for those DC chargers. Don't be like me and kind of go in blind. That was really just a test to see how long it would take for me to figure that out. And I'm sure most of you that have EVs now, there were some growing pains before. If you're purchasing a vehicle, then you probably did way more research than if you're renting one. So I think cut people some slack with not knowing the infrastructure, especially when you have zero experience with EVs from outside of what you see on the headlines. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I would say if you're cruising around town, if you have accessibility to DC charging relatively close by, give it a shot. Test drive one, see how you like it. Overall driving experience has been pretty good. I would say great. And yeah, it's a fun thing to test around. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope this was helpful. And maybe you consider renting an EV in the future. Totally unrelated to the rental part, but it might be related, but I just noticed all of these Mach-E's from Arizona come through. They're really close to the rental agency, and I do see some Pacificas there, which are typical rental cars. Another EV6, but there's a bunch of them. So I'm assuming these are for the rental agency, but interesting. Yeah, if they're numbered, they look pretty new. Special order, just come off the lot. Oh, yep, Avis, there you go. So they're getting more of them. So they're here. Mach-E. F-150, but I'm pretty sure those Pacificas are for the rental agency as well. Let's check these out. The Ioniq 5, I don't know. Oh, that one definitely is for Avis. Might be this whole lot. Yeah, this one has some markings too. These look they look brand new. But I assume this one is for rental. Definitely for rental. It even still has the protective tape on it, like straight up the factory floor. So there you go. They're here, especially the Mach-E.